Rasputin. He was known around the world as a woman-obsessed, power-hungry, crazy saint. His hypnotic grazing eyes seemed to pierce the brain. Today, Rasputin is seen as more than simply a historical figure. He is also believed to be an urban legend. Based on the events surrounding the life of the Russian mystique and self-proclaimed holy man Grigori Rasputin, the truth seems weirder than fiction. In Bonnie M's famous song Rasputin, he was called Russia's greatest love machine. During his lifetime, many women were his companions, willingly or unwillingly. Rasputin's personality was such that he attracted everyone with his strange hypnosis. It is also being said that Alexandra, the last queen of Russia, had an affair with Rasputin. But Rasputin was a terribly mysterious man. He left home at a very young age to meet God. For many, he was a saint and even a prophet. There are many theories and rumors about Rasputin in history. It was said that if he had laid his hand on someone, that person would be healed. And with that power, he saved the only son of Russian king Nicholas II Alexandrovich Romanov. At the time, Rasputin became the most powerful person of Russia, and as his power increased, his lifestyle became more and more extravagant. It has been said that Rasputin has slept with countless of women of Russia, and women were crazy for him. And many women even left their husbands and families for him. It has also been said that the man was impossible to kill because of his magical powers. Rasputin was tried to kill many times, but survived every single time. But question may arise in your mind that how did a man who did not left any wrongdoing and sinning in his life became a divine man or a saint? How did he transform into the most powerful person in Russia at the time and in a three-way conflict of women, religion, and power? In the wake of Russo-Japanese War, rising poverty, unchecked inflation, and a general sense of resentment in public led to unrest in Russia in 1905, a year in which state-level leadership had failed to deliver. Soon, in general strikes, people all the way from St. Petersburg to Poland rose up in revolt against the monarch. The Russian government underwent a transformation from autocracy to constitutional monarchy when King Nicholas II repressed the revolt and preserved his throne. It did shook the very foundations of the Romanov family's rule over Russia's empire. The royal family was vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Russian King Nicholas II was also quite tired after dealing with so much external pressure. In the meantime, it was learned that his only son and heir to the throne, Alexis Nikolaevich, was suffering from a complex disease. This disease in which bleeding did not stop easily. Many doctors were seen, but they could not provide any solution either. At such a time, they found a saint named Rasputin claiming to have miraculous powers. No matter what the problem was, he cured them with the touch of his hand. There could not have been a better timing for Rasputin for introduction to the royal family. And thus, the mysterious Rasputin entered the royal family. This was no exception. Rasputin gradually healed the dying child, although there are different opinions about how he cured this disease. Some say that he cured the disease using leech saliva. Others say that he used some kind of aspirin. However, whatever it may be, this was the moment the royal family fell under his spell. By healing the family lamb in this way, Rasputin appeared to King Romanov and Queen Alexandra as a man of infinite powers. Rasputin gradually became the topic of everyone's discussion. Nicholas and Alexandra would also call on the greasy-haired mystic for advice, and the Romanovs eventually started referring to him as our friend. And the word of Rasputin's magical power spread everywhere. As Rasputin's influence grew under the protection of the royal family, his hedonistic lifestyle became more extravagant. Rasputin started doing various injustices under the protection of the Russian king without any hindrance. He defended his terrible actions by claiming himself as Christ in miniature. As time passed, many women from different classes were seen walking around as his companions. The most powerful people in the Russian royal court started a plot to bring down the crazy monk, while Rasputin was publicly seducing female nobles. He is said to have slept with many women across Russia, and many of them were the wives of royal court nobles. But his wife, whom he married when he was 19, and the many children they had together stayed true to him no matter what. It was Rasputin's scary charm that made his wife say, "He has enough for everyone," when asked about his extramarital affairs. His influence on the monarch was so great that Nicholas II willingly chose to neglect complaints about him. "I know Rasputin too well to believe all the tittle-tattle about him," said Nicholas. People would hold Rasputin responsible for the inefficiency of the feeble monarchy because of his persistent presence in the corners surrounding the royal family. Rasputin seemed unconcerned by the widespread accusations and hatred directed towards him in Russia. Even though he was at the pinnacle of his social rank, Rasputin did little to shed his peasant appearance. Despite spending years among Russia's well-behaved elites, he made no effort to alter his behavior or act more appropriately when interacting with them. Despite of his foul smell, he rarely showered and never used spoons at the dining table. But regardless, his followers kept growing and also his rising number of enemies. In the meantime, the First World War began. The King Nicholas II himself took charge of the Russian army and went to fight. Nicholas II left Alexandra in command of the affairs of the state, and Rasputin and Alexandra together assumed the role of the ruler. For the time being, Rasputin became the most powerful person in Russia politically, as he got Alexandra under his spell already. The arrival of the incompetent in place of the competent, arbitrariness, corruption, altogether a strange anarchy began in the country. There was already a total war, and the normal life of the people was threatened by this strange rule of Rasputin and Alexandra. Queen Alexandra had a connection with the German enemy of Russia through her lineage. So, a rumor arose that Rasputin was secretly helping the German soldiers. Protests began. Some of the elite class came down to kill Rasputin. However, it seems even death was scared of Rasputin. Once, in his younger years in Siberia, he was punished for stealing a horse by walking to a distant church and confessing his crime. It was in the bitter cold of Siberia. As you understand, going alone on that path means death. Nevertheless, this crazy man started his journey. He continued forward. Regardless of his fatigue, lack of food, and the adverse environment of cold nature, he reached his destination and survived death. More evidence of this was found on an evening in June 1914. This man was severely stabbed by a woman with a sharp knife. The allegation was that the man was a false prophet and the Antichrist. For an average person, death from such a deep wound would have been natural. However, the man was different and survived, despite bleeding heavily. It is said that he was always aware of who was conspiring against him and was able to foil every attempt to eliminate him before it occurred. Exactly 2 years after this incident, on the night of December 30, 1916, Felix Yusupov and some elite politicians and their followers tried to kill Grigori Rasputin multiple times, but were shot each time he got back up. Due to the vagueness of the details, this tale has become an urban legend. After spending the entire day chugging a dozen bottles of wines with his followers in a bathing house, Rasputin allegedly showed up at Prince Yusupov's house party, visibly drunk. Irina, Yusupov's wife, may have been in an affair with Rasputin. Rasputin was first offered cakes and wines laced with a very potent poison by Yusupov and a small group of conspirators who were waiting for him. Rasputin supposedly drank enough poison to kill 5 men, but he remained seemingly unharmed. Seeing this, the conspirators were shocked, but afterwards they abandoned all pretense and opened fire on him. Thinking they killed him, the conspirators toasted Rasputin's defeat with wine, but they were shocked as he stood up and ran into the freezing winter weather. Despite the conspirators' repeated attempts to shoot at him, the practically lifeless guy managed to get back up and fight. They decided to beat him up, But when that wasn't cutting it, they shot at him again. Then they dumped his lifeless body into the icy river Neva after covering him with a carpet. 2 days later, his body was found washed up on the shore. All indications were that he had survived the journey to shore and died there. The story ended with the death of Rasputin, one of the most mysterious men in history. Whether all of Rasputin's actions during his lifetime were con arts or most of them were Rasputin's greatness, that mystery remains unsolved. In finding out the truth of Rasputin's bizarre life, how much of the events in his life were true and how much are rumors cannot be verified. After healing Alexis, Rasputin looked at the Russian king and made a strange declaration. He said that if Rasputin died at the hands of the common people, the regime of Russian monarchy would survive. But if a relative of the king had killed him, that would be the last chapter of the Russian monarchy. In reality, this is exactly what happened. Rasputin died at the hands of Prince Felix Yusupov, the son-in-law of the king's nephew. After the February Revolution of 1917, Nicholas himself and his children announced their abdication. The king and his family were imprisoned. In the spring of 1918, with Lenin's permission, the Bolsheviks killed King Nicholas II and his family on July 16 and 17. Nicholas II has been identified in history as a foolish and incompetent leader, and as a result, Rasputin's last prophecy was also fulfilled.